learned that teen suicide has been rising in Chicago, which is really the reason why I felt that I needed to help in this event. And hearing the story about what happened to her son also hit because he was a black teen in Chicago just like us. So I felt it was necessary to raise awareness for the cause.
Also learning that this is a vital thing going on, and even though you can try to get the help, that still might not be enough, and just want to help out as much as you can, basically.
To piggyback off Mr. Duncan, I feel like it's a big problem, and I don't think that it should be a problem. So I feel like things like this could bring people together and kind of tackle it and change things.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Soul Survivors of Chicago presents Breaking the Silence. This is our first talk show of many that we're going to be producing and bringing about information regarding suicide prevention awareness, mental health, and bring a platform for us to talk about it, discuss many things about mental health and wellness with expert advice down to just kind of community members to just talk about the importance of mental health and wellness. So today I have with me Mr. Noah Boynton. Did I say it right?
Boynton.
Boynton.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks so much. And Noah is a part of our Generation Survivor Squad. Our Generation Survivor Squad is excellent. They are youth that come from the city of Chicago that are very selective in being a part of the advisory group, and they bring information to us as a board about what's going on with youth as it relates to mental health and wellness, and they provide a lot of support with us as it relates to our efforts to bring out the information in the community. So we're just really pleased to have you today.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
My first question to you is, when it comes to stigma, that word is a big word, and everybody has their own thoughts about what it is.
Yeah.
What would you say stigma is and what it means to you?
Stigma kind of means to me a certain demographic of a person, like what they like, what they do, and kind of, I wouldn't say a stereotype, but a margin that you put a person in. I would say that's what a stigma is, something that you have about someone, or thoughts you have about someone.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to ask, because youth are very important to us in our nation, in our community, because you're the future leaders.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
shelf life is short. Yours is long,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And everything you do will lead this country, every decision you make. But I often wonder, is it uncomfortable to talk to someone about how you feel? And if it is, why?
I think for a lot of youth, it is pretty difficult to talk to adults. And I feel as if that is because, we don't really know what to expect. A lot of adults that are around us are, moms, grandmothers, and coming to them with problems sometimes might bring a lot of fear of rejection and things like that. And I feel like it all falls back on the way that their relationship is with the person. See, personally, for me, I feel like it is harder to talk to everyone because I'm an only child. So that's my part of my life that has made me not be able to, talk to everyone. But I feel as if to generalize it, it's just because, it's a little different. It's also the fear of not really thinking that the other person will understand what you're going through, because it's not easy just to spill everything that is in your head because, we're humans. So everything that's in our head doesn't need to be, said, of course. So sometimes teenagers have a hard time navigating what should be said and what shouldn't be said. So I feel like that's the biggest reason why we can't really express ourselves to the fullest. Also, not even just to adults, I feel as if we can't express ourselves fully in society, period, because of the way that we are looked at, especially as black people. In the media, it is pushed to be some type of, street rapper, blah, 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 and some people aren't that. And it's hard to fake like you're something you're not. So sometimes battling that is even hard, and you don't want to out yourself as something you're not. So it's hard to struggle with identity and try to tarnish your identity kind of too at the same time. So it's kind of it just creates a gray area for us sometimes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That was really, really impactful. Because I sit here and I think about all the youth that I've met, even my son who I lost by way of suicide. And one of the things that comes across is that they all were in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was a rapper, wanted to be in the music
Yes, ma'am.
field. Do you find that to be like a common thing that most youth may see themselves identify closer to that versus maybe college or
Yes.
trades?
I feel that it's all social media and it's all, what's pushed. Because what's pushed for black people for a long time is music, is rap, is hip hop. And a lot of us growing up in Chicago, especially, we see rappers like, say, G Herbo and, these people that have got millions of dollars off of making music. And it's so easy to do and there's so many ways to do it that is so easily accessible for everyone, but it's not for everyone. So sometimes the struggle of not being the best at what you're doing can also affect your mental health. And you see everybody else excelling and you're not. You feel less than, and it wouldn't even be that big of a deal to an adult. You come to an adult and be like, man, my music isn't going right how I want it to go. I'm nervous about it. It's hard to say that because an adult would be like, well, you don't need to do music anyway. Our parents want to push us to go to college and things like that. And I feel like people don't want to chase their own dreams. They want to chase someone else's. So sometimes that also can affect it. And, it's just easy to be someone else, if I feel like. If that makes sense. It's easier to be someone else than yourself sometimes. So I feel like everybody wants to, put themselves in that, rapper type of thing. And sometimes, even in examples like you said, even if you're not the same rapper as everyone else, everyone isn't going to like it. So it's a lot of factors that come into that. So I feel like, it definitely isn't a coincidence that it's rappers or musicians that usually go through these things.
Yeah, because that's an art. And when you think about art, it's like expression.
Yeah.
And you're expressing your way, and in the words that are coming out of your mouth, as the saying says, that's a way for many youth, I think, and just people in general, to be able to say how they feel and then to be able to make a career out of it is like really, really, something that they land on. Let me ask you this. What do you think youth are looking for from adults to support them? Like, what can adults do, myself included, to help support you or support the youth on their journey?
Yeah. So sometimes, they have the phrase to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I feel like even in my times of, finding myself and kind of going through that mental health stage, I just wished I had someone to understand me the most. And that's why we talk to our friends and things like that, and we talk to people we can most relate to, because if we can't, it's hard to understand that they might understand. So adults could, kind of take off that, mom hat, grandma hat, aunt hat, and put on a friend hat and kind of not really care about the lesson at that point, not really care about the lecturing, but care about how you can kind of make it better for them, and not really about how you can teach a lesson. Because all the time, I feel as if, adults are trying to teach the younger people lessons, and that is what should happen. But sometimes it's not helpful in that way, So I feel like sometimes to take off the lesson hat or take off the mom hat and just put on a friend hat sometimes and be there for them,
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So what have you done to fight adversity in your life when you've had those challenges? And I know we've all had them, but if you can think about one that you could share with us and the viewers, what did you do, or what was some of the things that you used to overcome that adversity?
I would say find something to do when you are feeling that way, and something productive. When I used to maybe even feel like, down or anything like that, I would, talk to one of my friends or play the game or stuff like that. But when that wouldn't suppress it, I would figure out what I want to do. So in my time in my life, I was learning, how to cut hair and how to do what I wanted to do in life. So whenever I used to feel down about things, and specifically my thing that I used to feel down about is like failure. One thing that I really just can't fathom is failure in my life. So when I think about it, it's a fear. So when I constantly, practice your craft, that's what I did. Constantly practice my craft, constantly think about that. It just made me think positive thoughts. So I know that's not easy to say, but a lot of people just need to think positive thoughts. Sometimes when stuff gets so hard, you're in your head a lot. And sometimes talking to somebody isn't going to be the best option, but sometimes talking to yourself is the best option. Like when I feel like I would call myself pretty strong-minded. So when you're pretty strong-minded, you can really, trick yourself into really thinking, you're good. And that's kind of how I was. I kind of just went along with it. It was like, I'm going to be okay. Just always know you're going to be okay, and it's always going to be something better. And I always thought that. I always never was like, I'm going to be stuck in this this bad mental health place forever. It's going to change one day. I'm going to find that happiness one day. So I feel like it's just hope and faith in not even in a religious or a spiritual standpoint, but in faith in yourself. Faith in that that you're going to do good. And that's me. I'm not even to be cocky, but just to be confident in yourself. And some people don't have that. So, change something about yourself. Like me. I didn't always like that. I wasn't fast as everyone else. I started working out. I started doing things to help that. So I feel like any of those times when you feel like anybody that's going through a mental health, bad mental health spot in their life, they know why it's happening. Okay. They know the reason. They know what about themselves they don't like. And I wouldn't say to change it all the time, but find something else you like. Like me, I grew my hair out. Things like that. I didn't like my head shape. Things like that. When you can slowly just upgrade yourself, you build your confidence up. And it's really just a never give up type of statement. Never give up. Don't just think that you're going to be stuck in that same spot forever. So that's how I think about it. Just kind of just think positive thoughts and just try to build your confidence up. Ask people different ways you could, change yourself. Other people's opinion does also matter too. So I'm not going to say don't talk to anyone, but it doesn't always have to be sad if that makes sense,
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. Because oftentimes I feel like the illusion is the dark tunnel. Yeah. And often when you think about it and you get in a place where it gets tough and rough, all you can see is the darkness. Yes, but the illusion is the darkness. The thing that's the fakeness. The light is the real piece. Right. That's the thing that we got to keep in our focus, in our radar, especially when those times get tough or you don't have that extra support like you speak about and talking to people and things of that nature. So, and that's good that you have that self-resolve to be able to say, I'm going to change something about myself. Yeah, And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Of course. And to what you're saying about the tunnel, like, that's a great analogy because there's always light at the end. So to always think about that is good too. Like, it's always light at the end of the dark tunnel. You could be in that darkness for days, but you just know you keep walking through it, you're gonna get to the light. So that's a good way to think about it as well.
Well, thank you. So let me ask you this: there's so many resources out there. I mean, social media has stuff that they plug to us. We read in the paper. We see things on TV. What is a resource that you feel has been most helpful to you or someone that you know? And this resource I'm thinking of is something that could be a person, a place, a thing, but it was helpful in that situation and basically got someone out of a tough time.
Yeah. Other than social media, of course, it would be, the people around you, like you said, a person. It would be like, for one of my friends. I mean, I've had friends that have, not only had, suicidal thoughts, but have had, times where they just weren't feeling the best. And I feel as if it's always someone they talk to. Like, people think that therapy doesn't work, but I think that it does. I think that talking to somebody that doesn't know your problems, like they don't know you, it's completely anonymous. It's like you can just spill everything out. And sometimes getting that off your chest just feels amazing. Like being able to just talk to somebody and know they're listening is a good thing. Yeah. So some people don't have people that they can talk to and know they're listening. So a therapist, they're listening. So, usually with all my friends and including myself, I've been to therapy before, and it actually helps. I think that therapy is one of the best things that youth should do. But everybody doesn't want to because they feel as if it's lame or they shouldn't, But that's also a part of just going down your own path. Like, you don't have to feel it's lame because everybody else thinks it's lame. Like, at first, of course, being young, I was like, I don't want to go to therapy. Like, I don't need that. But I did. It was something that I did need. So I feel as if people should definitely think that or use that as another option for sure, because me and other people I know that firsthand that therapy does work. So I like that too.
Cool. I like that because I'm a social worker, and I often hear that the same thing. I can't find a good therapist, or somebody won't understand. But just giving it a try. It's okay to talk to friends and family.
Yeah.
But go to therapy.
Yeah.
And therapy is not this construct of where you're sitting down and you're just spilling out your problems and so forth. It's a way for you to work with a person and kind of think outside the box.
Of course.
Look at some things on a different level. Look at some ways that we are thinking about things.
Yeah.
And ultimately come together with some understanding of what you want to see change.
Yeah.
Or improve.
Mm-hmm.
So, therapy is a really good thing to have.
Yeah, because I even remember with my therapist, we weren't always talking about the bad stuff. I used to talk to my therapist about basketball, but that was because that was something that I liked. And I noticed that he was talking to me about that to strengthen our relationship. So therapists know what they're doing. Like, they get down to it without... And a lot of people might think therapy is you just go in there and you just talk about how... the worst things. Like, no, they actually bring the good out of you. You end up laughing with your therapist because they are there specifically to get you to have positive thoughts and get better. So therapy won't do anything but make anyone better. That's what I believe.
Oh, I like that. I gotta get that on a t-shirt somewhere. So let me ask this. You talked about people that you kind of talked to before, but who do you admire? If you could pick out two people in the world, anybody living or deceased, that you admire, who would they be? And tell me why they would be somebody you admire.
Everybody's going to respond to this, but my mom. Because, okay, in all my, like, in anything I've ever gone through, in anything that I've ever had issues with, she's been the only one to patch it up. And even if she doesn't do the best job in the world, and even though us as teenagers, we might not want to talk to them all the time, but something about being around your mother and just kind of listening to her, you kind of get a better insight into a lot of stuff. So I would say my mother and my grandfather. My grandfather, he passed away, but he used to always instill wisdom in me. And I feel like the reason why I am the way I am today is because of him. Because, a lot of people my age, they don't really have the not smarts, but like, they don't really have the confidence to go and speak out about certain stuff because they feel they're scared about what other people think. And, I'm not worried about what other people think because from a young age, my grandfather and my mother taught me I have a condition. Having that condition, they've told me that being different is normal and is good. So those are the two people that I admire because they both have had a positive impact in that way. It made me kind of just stop even being sad about the condition, stop being sad about how other people feel because I have people in my corner. And realizing that is the biggest relief because knowing that you got an army behind you is way better than going into the battle alone.
Yes.
So,
Ooh, I
feel like, yeah. And it's other people too. My grandmother, my aunt, all of them have been there in my corner without me even noticing it. Just little behind the scenes stuff. So I feel like before I, thank friends and people that have been there to listen, I want to thank the people that, built the foundation in me to even be able to be confident and be out and be able to, be myself. So yeah, I would say my mom won and my grandfather for sure.
Oh, we got to ring the alarm on that one. Ring, ring. Shout out to mom and grandfather.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, having those family members in our lives who put little nuggets in us.
Of course.
And you don't know that they're doing that until something happens or down the line you get to a certain place in life and you're like, I remember they said, or I understand now what they were talking about.
Yeah, and a lot of you don't realize it until they get older. Mm-hmm. But like losing a person also makes you realize it too. I lost my grandfather. I think I was maybe 15, and being young, that was my first death in the family. So I didn't know how to deal with it. But when you just look back, when I look back on any of my hard times, other than that, it's just been my mom. Like, if anything, it's been her. If I felt alone, I know that she's with me even when I am alone. So it's like things like that. When you have a person like that and you realize that that person is the only one that does things for you, for real, you kind of appreciate it a little more. And some people, have, fights with their mom all the time. So, sometimes it takes them longer to realize it. But I listen to her. So, I get it. Mm-hmm. So I get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's touching. Well, we've got a few more minutes before we close out. I've got some questions for you that have to do with words to live by, right? Mm-hmm. So these are words that us adults have heard you talk about, but we need a clarification. So I'm coming to you,
okay,
and I'm asking you to kind of define these couple of words. It's only 4.
Okay.
The first one is, can you break down for us what is lit? L-I-T, lit.
Lit is like when something is fun, like, a party, like if I use it in the sense that somebody would be like, oh yeah, man, that party was lit. Like,
okay,
it was fun, it was turned up, it was cool, that's a word for like cool.
A word for cool.
Yeah,
okay,
cool,
so
fun, yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Lit, fun, okay. Yeah. My second word to ask about is you decent. Please
decent,
tell me what that means.
Decent is good. Like if someone calls you decent, it might be what you have on. Like, like if I be like, show someone some shoes, I'm like, oh, them decent. They not just saying it's good. It's a little more than good, but it's not, the best. So, I don't know. Just teenagers, like, we like to kind of be cool and not overexpress stuff. So decent is just the word to be like, oh yeah, it's cool. It's slight. It's all right.
Okay. So if I see a shoe and I like it, it's decent.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's like.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
We'll work with that one. Okay. Next question or word I have for you is that hit.
That hit. Okay, if you say that hit, that mean that it was good. Like if it was some food and you'd be like, oh yeah, that food hit. It was good. These are all good words. Like it's just different stuff to like. You can even say, oh yeah, that party was a hit. Like, okay, anything. All them words are like definition pretty much good. Like good, fun.
Okay. The last one is something I hear a lot and a lot of not just youth, but other people say this. But a situation comes up and they say, I'm dead.
Oh, that's like saying something is funny. Like that post on Instagram had me dead. Like things like that. It's just like that's funny.
Like you passed out.
Yeah, like you passed out laughing like you can't breathe no more. Somebody be like, I'm laughing till I can't breathe, and they just made it to I'm dead. So
Yeah.
You pass can't breathe pretty much. I guess that's what it means. Yeah, laughing.
Got it. Okay, that's interesting to know. Thank you for breaking that down for us. Is there any new ones coming out that I need to know about, just in case I do come across? Because those are the 4 I hear mostly.
Yeah. I think I said it, but slight is also like us just not trying to call something good. I don't know why we just won't use the word good. But yeah, slight is good. Like decent is higher than slight. Okay. So if you say decent, that's better than slight. You be like, oh, the food was slight. It was cool. That means it was alright. But if you say, oh, the food was decent, then it was good.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah, that's the difference between them two.
Well, my last question to you is, what's the biggest misconception, and if you can do it in like 30 seconds, that people have about mental health, what would you say?
That it is a process that is hard. I wouldn't call it hard at all. I would actually call it impactful. I feel like when people go through mental health problems, they come out, if they do come out, of course, they come out really much stronger, more, resilient. And I just feel like it's always a bad stigma on it, So I feel like that. It's always good in the end.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap with that and understanding that, hey, Soul Survivors of Chicago's Breaking the Silence is here. We'd love for you to come back at our next show. We want to thank our guest, Noah. And, of course, follow us at soulsurvivorsofchicago.com and on our social media platforms. Thank you for your time this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Be well.